At South Texas Health System Children's, your child's health is our priority. When they're ill or injured, we're ready to help. Our team includes on-staff pediatric specialists in infectious disease, cardiology, orthopedics, neurology, ear, nose, and throat, and more. Our round-the-clock care features the Valley's first dedicated children's ER. For more than 15 years, we've offered healing and hope for kids. And we're here for your family now. South Texas Health System Children's.
Where kids come first.
Greetings and welcome to our latest Let's Talk Children's Health webinar. I'm Tom Castañeda, the System Director of Marketing and Public Relations for South Texas Health System. On behalf of STHS Children's, thank you for joining us. For parents and caregivers, the health and well-being of their children is a main concern since it greatly impacts their future with early childhood experiences and health outcomes shaping their physical, cognitive, and emotional development and ultimately influencing their adult health and well-being. So to help parents better prioritize their children's health, STHS Children's hosts these Let's Talk Children's Health webinars. Through education and awareness of health issues that affect children, parents can be better prepared to help protect their health and well-being. Now, in this installment, we'll be talking about summer safety. For most children, summer is their favorite time of year, with their days filled with fun activities instead of homework. However, as the temperatures increase, so does the need for safety precautions. Whether kids are enjoying their time away from school, at home, on the road, or at camp, summer can bring with it some potential dangers for kids. So to help parents and caregivers keep safety top of mind during the summer season, we're joined by Officer Ariel Benedict with the Edinburg Police Department. Thank you so much, Officer Benedict, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you have been on the force for 8 years in Edinburg. Tell us,
Yes.
What are some of the things that you see during the summer involving kids?
Oh, of course. Yes. In the summer, it gets very hot in the valley. We see a lot of heat exhaustion. We do see kids not taking extra safety precautions when crossing the street. We do see a lot of gun safety incidents and swimming pool incidents as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, you are a mother of three, so you're not
Yes.
just a police officer. So how do you address the safety with your own kids?
Well, it's just constant reinforcement with my kids. I'm just constantly reminding them of what they need to watch out for. We're always talking about situational awareness as well. And I think it's very important that parents continuously remind their kids, instill it in them, make sure that they're little advocates for safety and crime prevention as well.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to safety, especially during the summer, we're dealing with a lot of different activities, everything from water safety, whether we're at a swimming pool at home or
Yes.
at the island. And then you're also talking about ATV safety, vehicle safety with hot cars, because I understand, especially with the temperatures here in South Texas, hot cars is also a serious issue.
Yes, of course. No, the heat is pretty bad. We always see heat exhaustion and dehydration as well. But yeah, summer is great. Summer is fun and there's tons of outdoor activities to do. But we have to be cautious. We have to watch our kids. I understand as a parent, you're not going to be there 24/7, especially with the teenagers, right? So we need to be sure that we're constantly reminding them and reinforcing those safety precautions as well. Yes.
Especially because accidents can happen in the blink of an eye. You hear a lot of the times
Yeah.
parents say, I just turned around to get something and this happened. So
Yes, it can happen in a second. And we see that all the time. Yes.
now you have a great presentation for us. Education is key. So let's get started.
Yeah, of course. Would you like to? So we do host a summer safety presentation at the Edinburg Police Department. And we do take this to schools generally, and we like to teach the kids, how to be little advocates for safety in their community. Advocate safety for their little brothers and sisters, their family members, their school members. And so it's very important that they are, like I said before, reminded, reinforced of these types of things before school is over and they break for summer. And so we want to be sure that the little ones know what to do when they are experiencing a real life emergency situation. And so we talk about the 5 senses, and this is something that the parents can talk to their little ones about, more geared toward pre-K age up to 3rd grade maybe. And we like to talk about the 5 senses when it comes to, how can our 5 senses help protect us, right? Can we Can we see a real life emergency situation? Are we seeing someone break into our home? Are we seeing a child crossing the street and not watching for cars? How does our sense of hearing help us, right? Can we hear fire alarms or sirens, right? We talk about our five senses with our smell. Can you smell smoke? Can you smell gasoline? Do you think that that could potentially be a real life emergency? How does our sense of taste or our mouth help us with real life emergency situations? Can we taste something that might potentially be dangerous for us? Do we put anything in our mouths that is not food? Does it taste like a chemical? Do we take medicine when we're not allowed to take that medicine, or a parent's not helping us? That's another thing that we need to be cautious of with our small children, is if they find medicine, do they know that they're not supposed to take medicine without the help of a parent or a doctor? And our sense of touch, are we constantly reminding our kids not to touch knives, not to touch hot surfaces? How does our sense of touch help protect us, right? And so we talk about the five senses with the little ones, and they do love that. So we really want and hope that our parents in the community can constantly remind our kids of just the smallest things. It could be, you would think it would be a safe day at home, and the kids are bored and they're rummaging through the medicine cabinet and they ingest something that they're not supposed to, or maybe a chemical under the sink that they're not supposed to. And like you said before, Tom, it happens in the blink of an eye, right? For 1 minute, it's a nice cozy day at home in the middle of the summer, and then the next minute you're calling poison control and you're off to the hospital, right? So let's talk to our kids about our five senses and how they can use those five senses to protect themselves and to protect others. And then we talk about that sixth sense, which a lot of kids don't know this word and they're not aware of: intuition, right? So we compare intuition to like a spidey sense, like a tingling sensation on their arms, or like a butterfly feeling inside their stomachs, right? Their body is telling them that something's not right, something feels off. And intuition kicks in when maybe there's a stranger bothering them, right? Or maybe there's something seriously wrong. So we talk to them about their sixth sense, their intuition. We tell them that, listen to your body. If you feel like something's not right, then just protect yourself and protect others. Listen to your body and talk to a parent about it. So we always like to reinforce that, our sixth sense, intuition, right? We are very big on teaching the kids about what is an emergency. What's the difference between a real emergency and what's not a real emergency? And let me tell you, the lines blow up in the summertime when the kids are bored at home. They will start calling the non-emergency line or the emergency line, 911, over and over. And so it's very important that we teach our kids that, 911 is a resource to be used only for real emergencies. And it's not to say that the kids are doing anything intentionally all the time, right? Maybe they're calling 911 because they think that, they need emergency services. So we want to be sure that the parents are aware that calling the 911 line if there's no emergency is a crime, right? It's the abuse of 911 for the teenagers mostly. And B, teach our kids how to call 911. If you have a little one, they can call 911 as young as 3. We've seen it happen. 3-year-olds call 911 and they help their moms and dads. They can't read, they can't write, but they sure can call 911. So let's teach our kids what the difference is between what's a real emergency and what's not a real emergency, and how to call 911. This slide we use for the little ones, right? And it's like a quick test, and we ask them, is losing your shoes a real emergency? Breaking a toy? And usually the kids are great about what they can tell the difference between what's serious and what's not serious. Do you see a fire? Are you lost? Is there someone breaking into your home? These are real emergencies. These are real life situations where you must call 911 if there's no one there to help you. And then we talk about it. So when you do call 911, you know, what are you supposed to say, and how are you supposed to communicate? So we use this video as an example of a great way on how to call 911 and what you're supposed to do. And this is a news clip of a 3-year-old boy who, like I said before, he's 3. He can't read yet. He cannot write. He's not in school yet. But his mom taught him how to call 911 in a real-life emergency situation. When he saw his mom fall to the ground and start having a seizure, he knew exactly what to do, and he knew exactly who to call. So this is a video that we like to show the kids.
3 people in Mesa honored by the fire department and hailed as heroes, each one credited with potentially saving the life of another.
ABC 15's Ryan Cummings is live in the newsroom with the story of one little boy and what he did when his mom got sick.
Well, guys, he is not old enough to be in school. He can't write his own name without help, and he doesn't even know how to read. But that did not stop him for calling for help when his mom ended up on the floor.
What's going on with your mom?
My mom is not feeling better.
Your mom's not feeling better?
No.
Even with a speech impairment,
My mom breathing so fast.
3-year-old Guy Fritchie remains calm while talking to a 911 operator.
My mom's whole body is wrinkling.
That's because earlier this month, on a Friday night in Mesa, his mom, Katie, was having a seizure, her first in 7 years.
My first thought was terror because I thought, oh, I never would want him to see that.
But Guy was brave. No one else was home, and Dad was working. So he did what he was taught to do during an emergency. He called 911.
My mom is not feeling good today.
I've only had to call 911 maybe once in my life. So it never would have occurred to me that he would need to do that.
I called 911 to call the firefighter.
And because of his actions,
I keep bubbling over because this is awesome.
firefighters said thank you, giving him a little fire truck, a red hat, and a special plaque.
I'm gonna lift you up here, okay?
They even gave him a quick tour of one of their trucks. Mom says she couldn't be more proud.
He was a hero, you know, for a little three-year-old guy that was able to take a very scary situation and do the right thing.
And Katie says they taught Guy how to call 911 after he accidentally drank peroxide thinking it was soda. He thought it was cool that firefighters came to take care of him, so that's when they had that talk about calling 911 during an emergency.
Oh, that audio is so adorable, though. What a little lifesaver. Too cute. Thank you.
So I mean, as young as 3, he was able to call 911, and he saved his mom's life. You know, a lot of parents don't always think about that. They need to teach their kids at the youngest age possible what their home address is. What's mom's name? What's dad's name? What's our phone number? You know, maybe they're not going to get all of it, right away, but changes can happen in the blink of an eye. Emergency can happen at any time, no matter where you're at. And if it's just you and your kids at home, if something were to happen to you, you're relying solely on your children to get you the medical attention that you need. And so we talk about what 911 services are provided. It's not just the police when you call 911, but kids need to know that they can call 911 for fires, for firefighter. They can call 911 for an ambulance, to take mom or dad or grandpa to the hospital in an ambulance. And so we talk about 911 call procedures. So kids are going to hear the dispatcher answer the phone. And the dispatcher is going to need information like where you're at, your address. Can you describe to me what's going on? What services do you need? And so let's talk to our kids about how to stay calm while they're on the phone with 911, how to continuously remain on the phone with 911, no matter what type of situation it could be. Maybe they can't talk because there could be someone in the home burglarizing the home and they don't want to be spotted. So it's important that they stay on the line, and they can stay silent, but stay on the line. That 911 line is pinging to our cell towers, and we can see the location. And so it's important that they remain on the line and keep that line open. The dispatcher is going to need constant communication and updates if needed. Talk to your kids about staying on the phone. Talk to them about, giving descriptive details and updates to the 911 dispatcher until either the police or the firefighters arrive, right? And so I'm a huge advocate about teaching little ones as young as 3, maybe even 2 sometimes, about how to pick up the phone and dial 911. So talk to your kids about landmarks. This is why we talk to our kids about landmarks. You know, a lot of times we do get calls, also in the summer, that kids are lost, okay? And kids have absolutely no idea where they're at. They can say, you know, their mom's name and their dad's name, but for some reason, they have no idea where they're at, or they can't tell you where they live. Well, we talk about landmarks. My kids know that there are certain landmarks in our neighborhood that are very distinguishable, that they can tell 911, I live here, I'm over here, I'm by this, right? We explain to the kids that landmarks are easily seen from very far away. They're difficult to be moved and cannot be removed. And we do a little test with them. So we ask them, you know, is a tree a good landmark? And you can ask your kids this. Is a tree a good landmark when you're on the phone with 911 to try to explain where you're at, or maybe you're lost? And a lot of them will say yes at first, but trees are actually not good landmarks as they can be removed, and there's tons of them in the valley, right? So then we ask them, okay, is a fire truck a good landmark? And it's not, because a fire truck can move, right? So we tell them to be situationally aware of their surroundings and look for street signs. Can you read the street signs? Do you know what street you're on? Street signs are landmarks, right? Hospitals, schools, playgrounds, a McDonald's down the street, right? The kids need to be situationally aware of their surroundings constantly, and they need to be constantly reminded to be aware of where you're at and what landmarks are surrounding you. And so this is just one of the things we talk about if they find themselves in a situation where they're lost. If they are at Walmart or H-E-B with their mom and dad, and they happen to get separated and they become lost, they need to be able to, you know, explain to somebody helping them who their parents are. Do they remember their mom or their dad's phone number? Do they know their address if they're lost somewhere else, right? Families go to amusement parks when? Most of the time in the summers, right? And so if your child is separated from you and they're lost, you cannot just rely on yourself or others around you to find your child. It's important that your child can remain calm in a situation like that and know exactly what they need to do to find their way back to their parents or to their guardians. And so we talk about landmarks, and we talk about safe people and safe places. So if your child is not old enough yet maybe to not remember your phone number or your address, it's important that they know the difference between safe people and safe places. And can they find safe people around them? Can they find employees of the establishment that you're at? Can they find a police officer or a teacher or a bus driver or maybe another mom at the park, right, that can help them? And we teach them to use their intuition, their sixth sense, and to look for safe people in that area. They can go to another mom of a child at a playground and ask to use the phone to call their mom or to call 911. Safe places. If a child is lost, can they find a police department, or can they go to a hospital or even a gas station at night? Yes, they can. You know, a gas station is considered a safe place if they're lost in the middle of the night and they need somewhere well lit. They need an adult that can give them a cell phone and they can call 911. We really encourage parents to teach their kids this, but also if you're going somewhere like an amusement park or a playground or you know, anywhere in the summer, a water park, for example, if you're going to the beach, write your phone number on their arm or put a sticker on them with your name and your phone number. I actually do this as a mother myself. I just cannot depend fully on others to help me protect my kids the way I want them protected. And so I make sure to put our phone number or on our kids, or, you know, even have them wear GPS watches or put an Apple tag on your child, tie it to their shoelace. It's so important that we keep our kids close. If for any reason none of these things were done and we need our kids safe and to, you know, to find their way back to mom and dad, teach them about safe people and safe places. ask them this. Is a person coming to the door you've never seen before? Is it a stranger? Are they considered a safe person? No, they're not. If your child doesn't know them, they're not considered a safe person, right? And then teach them to never open the door for strangers, right? Is a person that's coming up to you, an adult coming up to a child, offering candy or offering something or offering to play video games, are they a safe person? No. Talk to your kids about their intuition. Talk to your kids about stranger danger. Make sure that they're not, falling for, the free giveaways and the freebies if an adult is talking to them in public. Talk to your kids about video game safety and online safety. Stranger danger when it comes to chat rooms online, chat rooms on games. Please reinforce your kids and remind them all the time, stay on top of them, not to talk to strangers online as well. We talk about safe places, and we ask the kids, okay, is an alleyway behind a restaurant and a dumpster, is that a safe place to be or to find yourself if you find yourself lost? And it's not. It's not a safe place to wander. Are construction sites safe places to wander? No. And then we talk about bodies of water, canals, lakes, ponds, and then, of course, the beach, right, in South Padre Island. Are bodies of water safe places to wander if you're alone or if you're with your friends or if you're not with a guardian or a parent? And they're not. And we talk about this. We reinforce this with the students and with the kids that in the summertime, don't hang out by the pool by yourself without your mom and dad or without a guardian. Don't play by the canals. Don't go fishing at the pond without your mom and dad with you or without permission, right? It doesn't matter how strong of a swimmer you think you are, accidents always and can happen. And so it's very important that we remind our kids and we stay on top of our kids about safety around the water as well. We talk to the kids about bullying. So bullying, unfortunately, is an all year round issue that we see all the time. And bullying can start as something very minor, and it can end up being something where the police are involved. And we do find ourselves responding to calls in the summertime where kids are either being cyberbullied or being physically bullied, or in person bullied. And so, bullying doesn't just happen in school. It doesn't just happen, during the school season, but it actually, we do see an increase in this in the summertime. Mostly at that age range, we're preteens to teenagers, right? Now they're getting into physical assaults. Now they're being arrested for disorderly conduct or detained for, resisting arrest or deadly conduct. This all starts with bullying, right? With just what you might think is minor, ends up being, physical assaults, and these kids end up in juvenile hall, right? And so we reinforce and really implement no name calling. Be respectful, be helpful, keep your hands to yourself. If you see something, say something. Please remind your kids that whether they're the bully, whether they're not the bully, whether they're not involved at all, it's important that they speak up and they're an advocate for the safety of others as well. We also educate and inform the kids and the public as well that assault is a crime. It's an arrestable offense, no matter how old you are, okay? The youngest age in the state of Texas that a child can be arrested is 10 years old. And a lot of parents don't know this, and students don't know this. Of course, every case is different. It's a case-by-case situation, and the severity of the incident is also taken into serious consideration, right? But students have this misconception that because they're a juvenile, nothing will happen. When in fact, if parents do decide and make the decision to press charges against that student, it can happen, right? And we do have juvenile investigators that unfortunately get plenty of calls, which we do see increase in the summertime as well, where students are fist fighting, physically assaulting each other, or even, very harsh bullying as well, whether it be cyberbullying or bullying in person. So please talk to your kids all the time about bullying. Let's talk about gun safety. We advise all kids, no matter what age they are, just if you find a gun, don't touch it. If your parents own a gun, don't touch it. It's one thing for your parents to take you to the gun range and teach you how to shoot a gun. That's one thing, right? But it's another when your parents or a guardian or an adult is not around. If it's not your gun, if you're unfamiliar with the use of the gun or how it operates, don't touch it. Don't go near it. Please, parents, talk to your kids about, talk to your little ones about if they find a gun, what do they do? Don't tell your little ones not to bother touching it and to go straight to you, and call any authorities that need to handle that weapon. There are times where we will receive calls at the police department where a gun is found at a park, or a gun is found stashed somewhere maybe. Or maybe it was thrown out of a vehicle on the side of the road. And, there's been times in the past where, bystanders find guns on a sidewalk. So, of course, kids can come across a gun. Kids are also bored at home in the summer sometimes. And it's important that parents, please lock up your guns. We, at the Edinburgh Police Department, we have free gun locks. If you need a gun lock for your gun, please stop by at the police department and pick one up from us, on us. We are really press on this. Safety of our kids is the number one priority. And unfortunately, we see numbers increase in the summertime while the kids are out of school with incidents involving guns, disorderly conduct incidents, deadly conduct incidents, reckless incidents. And so please, we never want it to get to that point where a child or even a teenager shoots someone or shoots at someone or gets in serious trouble or even worse, injury or death. So let's talk about gun safety. Let's remind our kids never to touch a gun, and let's lock up our guns if we do legally own them. Yeah. And that's it right now. That's the presentation. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, of course, there's tons of different summer safety things that we can discuss as well. But this is mostly what we want to be sure that we remind our students and our kids every day about 911 procedures, situational awareness, gun safety, and bullying.
And that's all really important because obviously in an emergency, if there is an adult present, if there isn't one or adult is injured, calling 911 and knowing what to do is really important. Yes. So making sure that we're drilling it to our children exactly how to do it, how to respond. That video was great because it really was a great example of the difference that you can make if you know what to do and act in an emergency.
Yes, yes.
Now let's talk a little bit about the types of accidents and things that we see. Summer safety obviously is really important. Last summer there were 1 million children who suffered injuries that sent them to the ER between the months of June and August. It was 29% of all ER visits during that time frame. So a good 1/3 of the accidents and injuries that were reported were kids doing, playing around during the summer. So it's really important. With you all, is it about the same kind of percentage in terms of seeing the cases that you see like June through August?
Yeah,
a lot of kids.
Yeah, so the kids, we see an increase in calls when it comes to calls related to juveniles. Yes, in the summer, because of course they're not in school and sometimes they're bored or sometimes they're just getting into something they shouldn't be. And then July, we have 4th of July in the summertime with fireworks safety. And we get a lot of calls for burns and for incidents of that nature as well. So yeah, we do see an increase in calls when it comes to juveniles in the summer for sure.
And here are some of the summertime products and activities that cause the most injuries and ER visits. So bicycles. So we see a lot of bicycle safety. Yes. And then not only do you unfortunately not wear the helmet, but then you're not looking both ways before you're crossing the street or make the right, yes, hand signals to turn right or left. So yes, teaching our kids about bicycle safety is really important.
Yes, we encourage our kids to stay off the roadways with their bikes unless they're with their parent and they're legally riding on the roadways with their parents, right? But we encourage the kids, of course, to always wear a helmet and wear whatever, extra padding that you think that your kid needs, right? But we have plenty of parks and bike routes in designated areas. in the city of Edinburgh. And so we really encourage parents to take their kids to the parks rather than riding on the roadways, sharing the road with the traffic. Of course, they can legally if using the roadways correctly, right? But let's go to the public parks. You know, let's use those designated safe zone areas for the bicycles. That's what they were made for. And it will decrease injuries and accidents.
And those bike trails are great because you can take the bike trail that takes you on 2nd Street all the way to the airport and all the way into Edinburgh. So that is like one nice long route. Yes, you have to cross some streets at the light and all, but for the most part, you have a good, safe way to bike and get all of those, especially if you're watching and making sure you're being active and getting your miles in and your steps in.
Exactly.
Safe and easy without avoiding.
It's just more reassuring when you're not sharing the road with cars, right? Especially when you can do everything you possibly can to prevent it, so just do it, right?
And then the next thing that they see a lot of is swimming accidents. And so it's not just potential drowning, it's also slips and falls coming out of the pool, running into the pool, running around the pool area that's wet. So being really careful around the swimming pool.
Yes, of course. And this is the responsibility, I think, of the parents and the adults involved as well. You know, we tend to see a lot of accidents when parents are at parties, right? If there's a big party and it's a pool party, maybe a birthday party, these pool accidents are happening when there's actually more people at the party because, you know, the adults, of course, are enjoying the party and they're having a good time. They're eating the barbecue. But in the distance, the kids are swimming in the pool. And so please don't leave your kids unattended in the pool, even if they're older children. You know, older children tend to roughhouse with each other in the pool as well. And so maybe some kids might not have the awareness, the situational awareness. Well, okay, maybe I'm holding this child under the water a little too long, right? And so these accidents tend to happen when there's more people around, right? And so please don't leave your kids unattended in the pool. Don't leave your kids unattended at the park if there's a lake or a pond or a canal. It could happen in a split second. You honestly never know.
And when you're at the pool, and yes, it's really hard to step away from a party and everyone's gathered there, but having 1 or 2 parents that are assigned to watch the pool, and yes, you could be talking about your favorite telenovela or the drama that's happening in the world, but making sure that you're always keeping an eye on at the pool at all times.
Yeah, and I say that not to enjoy the party, right? Everyone loves a good barbecue, but it can happen in a split second. The accident can happen in a split second. And if we as parents and guardians are there to prevent that from happening, and then we need to, you know, make sure that it just doesn't happen. Don't let it happen is what I'm saying. Right.
And the next one, 26,000 plus kids ended up in the ER. And this one surprises me a little bit, trampolines.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think that a trampoline could be, I mean, yes, they're dangerous, but in the summer, I guess kids are out there on the trampoline, especially now when you have those larger ones that take up the whole yard basically, and you're just bouncing. It's really dangerous.
Yeah, no, I see that. We see this a lot with the little ones as well, right? Because their bones are not fully developed. They're not strong yet. And so they're just going to bounce around all over that trampoline. And they bounce right off, and usually they'll end up in the ER with broken bones. Yes.
And the next one is monkey bars and other climbing structures. So I know kids like to climb, they like to run, and so I used to love the monkey bars myself. But those are dangerous if you're not paying attention, and not just for an injury like breaking a bone, but also burns because the metal in the summer gets really hot.
Yes, it does. And so, yeah, like I said, the parents, it's for the parents to stay on top of the kids, right? Kids are very resilient, and they can take a fall and they'll be bruised up, right? I mean, I know my own children, they have bruises all over their legs because they're rambunctious and they love to climb and play, and that's great. Kids are resilient and they can take a fall. However, there are also boundaries and limitations, and parents need to be able to step in and say, hey, you're climbing a little too high, like come down just a little bit, right? Because these kids are going to take the risks, and that risk is going to end up being, end up in the hospital maybe. And so if parents can, of course, always be with their children and never leave them unattended, then that's the best bet for you.
Now, SafeHome.com did a study, and they found the combination of factors that were leading to these accidents was lack of supervision, which we've talked about,
Yes.
insufficient safety measures, so making you're not wearing the helmets, you're not the knee pads when you're rollerblading, whatever it may be, and then children's natural inclination to test their limits. So kids are always going to be like, oh, I can reach a little further, or I can do this, or I can do that. So making sure that your kids understand, like, you know what, you can't do everything at once.
Yeah. And I just touched up on that. Yeah. Like, you know, these kids are going to push the limits. They're going to push the boundaries, right? But we as parents, you know, luckily we're instinctual about, you know, kind of seeing the end of a situation before it begins. So like, this isn't going to turn out really good, right? So, you know, you can tell them, of course, come down from there. Don't climb so high. But yeah, I mean, we touched on that, right? It's about supervision, right? Let's stop the incident from happening before it happens, because, you know, the kids need structure, and they need to be told every now and then, reminded, you know, to be more careful. It's the same concept as wearing your seatbelt, right? You know, like, you know, nothing could happen in a car every day as you're driving along and you don't have your seatbelt on, but it only happens in a split second if you don't have your seatbelt on. The one time you don't put your seatbelt on, you know, we can't control other drivers on the roadway. You could be the best driver in the world, but if another driver in the roadway, you know, hits you from behind, or, you know, T-bones you in the intersection, just the one time you didn't wear your seatbelt, everything can change. Your whole life can change. And it's the same concept as, you know, kids not wearing their protective equipment or being unattended, right? You know, just, it's as simple as wearing your seatbelt, wearing your helmet, tending to your children, keeping an eye on them, right?
All right. Now, there was some great advice that was created by age group. So 2 years or younger, trampolines are the leading cause of injuries in that group. So swings and swing sets are also more dangerous for that group. And so I know swings is also one of those where you go to the park, you're on the swing, and you're pushing. And it's happened where I've been on a swing, and then a child walks right by or runs by, and there is an injury waiting to happen right there.
Yeah, no, you know, and if that kind of stuff can happen even when the parent's standing right there, right? Because you'd like to look at your kids and say, no, my kid's not going to walk in front of those swinging feet, right? But it happens. It happens. It actually personally happened. My 1-year-old walked straight into her big brother swinging on the swings, and, you know, she cut her lip, right? And so this happened 2 feet away from me. So unfortunately, yeah, accidents do happen every now and then. But it's best that, you know, we're able to be right there and tend to them as soon as possible.
But also having that conversation with your kid and say, listen, your brother, you're going to want to go or be next, but wait until I call you to come closer or whatever, like understanding, teaching them some of rules of the road, so to speak, when it comes to being on the playground or being somewhere where things are happening. I know we talk about like swimming pool safety and diving boards. And I know it was always like when you were at the pool and the lifeguard would whistle at you if you didn't wait for the next wait until someone cleared the pool before you jumped in. And so knowing those rules.
Yeah, kids are rambunctious, and they feel immortal, right? And so it's important that we remind them, like, hey, you can be injured. You could get hurt, and if you do this could happen, right? I like to remind my kids all the time, like, you know, what could happen if you're riding your bike and you're not wearing your helmet? Could you fall off your bike and you know, get a serious injury on your head? Yeah, you can. And so, of course, my kids are really good at wearing their helmets now, because I kind of scared them a little bit, right? They don't want to have a head injury. But now they understand the rules when they're on their bikes, and they are taking those safety precautions for themselves. I don't have to remind them anymore. You know, it's okay to talk to your kids about the worst that could happen if they're not being careful. Yeah.
Now, 3 to 10 years old, the most common hazards are swimming and bicycles, which we've talked about. So providing swimming lessons is always very important. And cities across the valley, Parks and Recreations, departments offer swimming lessons.
Yeah.
And it's worth that investment in making sure that your child knows how to properly swim.
Yes, of course it is. And then, of course, use life rafts and safety vests as well. If you're going to a water park with your child, it doesn't really matter if the water is shallow, right? You know, still put that safety vest on that child if they can't swim. Even if they can swim, if they're not that strong of a swimmer, it's it's very encouraged to just put the safety vest on them as well. You could be standing right by them and they can just fall into the pool in a split second, right? It only takes just a couple of seconds for you to be distracted for them to drown. And so put the safety vest on them, keep them away from the pool if you don't need to get in the water. And then of course, if you can, take the swimming lessons in the summer. It's great. I mean, we have the weather in the valley for it, right? The swimming lessons. I also like to remind parents to, I just lost my train of thought.
You always remind parents that they need to the swimming lessons and making sure that they're aware of pool etiquette.
Oh yeah, wear pool etiquette.
Yeah, making sure. And now 11 to 17-year-olds, this was the top hazard, which kind of surprised me, was fishing accidents. So you go and you fish with your friends, and I've always been scared to fish around people because of the fish hook flies. I've seen too many movies, and somebody's face gets mauled or whatever it may be. So, but fishing accidents. So always making sure you know what to do when you're around others, when you're dealing with something like a fishing pole.
Yes, no, I actually, we actually did respond to a call a couple years back of a teenager. He was filleting a fish after fishing, and he sliced his hand open and he was bleeding really bad, and so we responded to the park to assist him and, give him medical attention. And so he did end up having to go to the hospital for stitches. So it's not just, just the action of the fishing itself, but, everything that you do when it comes to fishing as well, like, knife handling and safety, safety for that as well. Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to, we're going to go through these. So pool safety, pool slides are 362 injuries involving pool slides. So slides are also crazy. Making sure that you're waiting one at a time, things like that. Just pool etiquette is really important.
Pool etiquette is important, yes.
And then above ground swimming pools, there's also a lot of issues with those. And I know there are people who put out an above ground swimming pool in the summer because the kids will enjoy it, but making sure that that it's a sturdy ladder that they're climbing into so that they're not slipping and falling, and avoiding any slips and falls and potential breaks.
Right.
But also taking that ladder away when there isn't an adult around, which I thought was a really good piece of advice.
Yes, no, that is, take the ladder off or cover the pool, right? Don't give the child the opportunity to climb the ladder at all. Yeah.
Now, swimming activity, apparel, and equipment. So just making sure that kids have the right equipment, that if they're using the goggles, that they're using them correctly, if they're using the nose clip, that they're not staying underwater for too long, things like that. Always making sure you're paying attention.
There's a lot of injuries as well that we can see when the kids are ingesting too much water, right? So maybe your child is an okay swimmer. Maybe they're a decent swimmer, right? But if you notice that they're underwater, they're swimming and they're playing at the water park and they're ingesting a lot of that water, not only can that make them very sick, but there is such a thing as internal drowning when their lungs fill with water, right? And so it's also important for parents to keep an eye out for that as well. They can be playing and be active, but just be careful that your child is not swallowing that water as well. Yeah.
And the other thing is the swimming pool chemicals themselves. So making sure that you're putting them away, storing them properly, locking them, because they may think, oh, I'm going to throw this in or whatever, and then they may start playing or horse around and get injured.
And I'd also like to touch as well, parents, put your kids in bright colored bathing suits and bright colored shirts when at the beach or at an amusement park, the water park, right? Especially at the beach, those blue bathing suits are very hard to spot in the ocean. Dark blue, light blue, black even. Suits, if your kids are not in bright, vibrant colors and easy to spot in a crowd or easy to spot in the ocean or at a water park, let's do everything we can to make it easier to spot your child in an emergency situation. So go shopping and purchase those bright colors for your kids.
Go for that yellow.
That neon green, right?
Yes.
Something very easy for a lifeguard to see in the ocean for you to keep an eye on them as well.
All right, let's talk about beach safety. So always being aware the water at the island is different than the water in your pool, and understanding the rip tides and currents and how to make sure that you avoid drownings when you're in the water there.
Yeah, no, I mean, those rip tides and those currents, they pull away adults as well, so don't ever depend on the ocean to protect your child, especially when 1 minute it's shallow and then the next minute the riptide comes in and it's deep. And it can happen in just a few minutes. Okay, so always stay right next to your kids at the beach, and go into the water with them. Yeah.
And when it comes to the riptides, I understand it's like you swim parallel with it and you don't panic. You don't try to swim through it because you're just going to end up exhausted.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, and then another tip is, of course, be careful with the rafts in the ocean. We recommend that you don't float on a raft at all because that current will pull you very far from your spot on the beach if you're laying on a raft. And so before you know it, you'll be out way too deep and you're not going to be able to make your way back as well.
All right. Another one that was a little surprising, but not so much, was lawn trimmers and lawnmowers. And I know when I was a kid, my mother made me mow the lawn. It was $20, but I got to make some money. But those lawnmowers are really dangerous, especially you got to make sure that when you're mowing the lawn that there's no one around. And I've even had it happen where you're mowing the lawn and there's like a huge rock that goes flying.
Oh, yeah.
So just being aware and making sure you're paying attention as you're
of course. And if you do want your kids to do those chores, just make sure that they are well versed and well educated on how to operate that machinery, of course. Yeah.
Now, kites and kite strings, which I thought was also a little surprising because who doesn't love a kite? But when you're going that fast, that string can become kind of dangerous. It can cut into you if you're getting pulled really rapidly, especially if you're a small child.
Yeah, no, I mean, kites are awesome, right? Yeah,
they are.
But just a little string can be dangerous. It can cut it can constrict the blood flow in your finger. It can get caught in your finger. Yeah, you can maybe run into something if you're not keeping an eye out.
Or the kite, when it comes down, you get that one wind that stops and the kite goes flying into someone and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to hit that person.
Yeah, that could happen for sure.
Now, vehicle safety is really important, and we talk about hot cars a lot, and temperatures in vehicles could get into the triple digits, right?
Yes.
During the summer?
Yes. No, yeah, and it only takes a couple of minutes. It's against the law to leave your children unattended in the car anyway, whether it's running or not running. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. It's against the law to leave your small children in the car unattended without an adult. And so, of course, we are advising the public not to leave their kids in the car alone, especially with it off. It doesn't matter that the windows are down. Those temperatures in the car are still going to reach the triple digit temperatures, especially here in the valley, with how hot it gets here. And so just from the police department, we never advise and never say it's okay to leave your kids in the car unattended, whether it's on or off. The kids can suffocate within minutes.
And one of the tips that I found really helpful that they said is put something in the back seat that you desperately need, your purse, whatever it may be, so that you know to look in the back. Because yes, you don't want to leave your kids in the car. It's not, but you may have 20 million things on your mind. You're running to this appointment, that appointment, and you don't realize that all kids are not out of the car yet.
Right. Yeah. No, parents are busy and sometimes it's a little bit chaotic. So yeah, just go ahead and pop your purse back there right behind the seat. You shouldn't be texting and driving. There should be no distracted driving. So go ahead and put your phone back there as well.
Anything you can, just to make sure that you look back there. Now, we talk a lot about heat safety, and obviously we are starting to experience hotter temperatures earlier in the year here in the valley. So starting in May, we start seeing cases at STHS of heat stroke, heat exhaustion. And so what advice do you have for parents when it comes to heat safety?
So the advice I have for parents is to keep your kids hydrated all the time. I know it's very difficult for little ones to constantly drink water and to drink Gatorade and to stay replenished, right? But it's important that we try to just stay on top of them about it, because that's the first thing we're going to see is the heat exhaustion and the dehydration. All right. Make sure that they're well fueled with their fruits and their veggies and their proteins, and they get all of the nutrition that they can, so that way they can stay strong. They have a lot of energy. But limit their time outside. Unfortunately, it does get a little bit hot, right? And so if you do encourage your kids to play outside, that is great. But also know that there should be some limitations. They do need cooling hours. They do need to come in and get some AC. They do need to be hydrated with the water. And then also just watch for signs of heat exhaustion and heat, dehydration and heat stroke. How red are they in their face, or is their skin turning pale? Are they complaining of aches in their muscles? Are they getting dizzy? Are they drowsy? Are they, they can't beat this unquenchable thirst, right? So keep an eye out for those signs as well.
And then the other thing, it's not just the heat exhaustion, but we're also talking sunburns. So making sure that they're always wearing sunscreen.
Yeah.
I know, and not just putting it on once and forgetting about it, but making sure every 30 minutes, 50 minutes, you're monitoring if they are going to be outside for a little longer, and then taking those breaks outside to go find some shade and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, no, and also, of course, keep the sunscreen on them, but keep them covered up. Make sure that the kids are wearing the hats, the long sleeve shirts, cover their shoulders and their arms at the beach, and let's keep our kids safe. Even if it's cloudy, if it's an overcast, they can still get a sunburn. Yeah.
And I always thought it was unusual for people to be wearing like a long sleeve shirt, but you can get the very thin, like those rash guards that are thin and easy, and then you avoid that sun exposure.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Especially if you're going to be doing any chores outside or anything, or you have them out for a longer while. Think of loose fitting clothing, but that's long sleeve and that's cool.
Right.
That will avoid any of the exposure to the elements.
Exactly.
Now, bike safety, we talked about the importance of helmets. Another thing is staying alert at all times, teaching our kids to just be mindful 24/7, like no matter when they're on their bike, paying attention to their surroundings.
Yes, right. If the kids do have to cross the street, they have to use the crosswalks. I know that, in the state of Texas, pedestrians on the crosswalk, bicycles on the crosswalk have the right of way to cars, right? But only if they're using those crosswalks legally. Stop and yield to the right of way and make sure that you're using those crosswalks. But always be cautious and situationally aware of your surroundings when it comes to cars and vehicles. A lot of times these vehicles cannot see you on the roads, and especially at night. If you don't have those reflectors and those lights on your bicycles, make sure you get them now, especially for your kids. Parents always stay with your little ones if they're out riding their bikes. They will dart into the street or cross the street without looking both ways. And I, as a mother, am constantly, reminding my kids, look both ways. Don't run in parking lots. Don't ride your bike in the street, right? These are little things that you might think are minor, but could just turn into something detrimental. Yeah.
And similar to the safety when it comes to bikes, it's also pedestrian safety. So always making sure that you're looking both ways before you cross the street.
Use the crosswalks.
They're going to be out more. They're going to be crossing streets more. They're not going to be in school 24/7. So they may have to cross the street, and making sure they're looking both ways.
Yes, exactly.
And I know when we were little and we were playing soccer or a sport that involves something rolling out into the street, making sure you don't just dart out and get it.
Right, exactly.
All right, now playground safety. And we talk about playgrounds, and I know when it comes to playgrounds, there's always the scrapes that you may get when you're like running and you fall. So just paying attention. I know the city of Edinburgh has some great parks that have some padded sort of playground that it's not as dangerous.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, no, and then we have water parks, splash pads all over Edinburgh as well. And so be sure that you're with your kids, that they're wearing safe shoes, maybe with rubber on the bottom, even in the water, playing in the water, so that if they are running through the water, they're not going to slip and fall. But kids are resilient. We know that they are. We know that they can handle bumps and bruises. But we can do everything we can as parents to prevent it as well. And so when they're at the playgrounds, keep an eye on them, right? Don't leave them unattended, but make sure that they're in closed-toed shoes. Make sure that they're wearing, protective clothing, jeans or jean shorts or something that protects them from their knees, scrapes on their knees and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, of course, talk to them about their limitations. Don't climb that high or stop running. You're going to trip and fall. we can stay on top of our kids sometimes.
All right, so we covered some great tips when it comes to summer safety, but let's now just go into general safety reminders. These are 10 tips, and you can tell me just how great these are. These are 10 tips that will help keep your children safe, that we should teach all our kids. So rule number 1, know your name, number, and address.
Yes, very good. Yeah, always talk to your kids about your name, your number, and your address, because you never know, your kids might be the ones having to call 911.
Okay, number 2, do not eat anything given by a stranger.
Yes, of course. Don't take any medication either if you're not with your mom or your dad or a doctor. Yes.
Rule number 3, do not climb the fence.
Yeah, that's a good way to get hurt, right? We do see injuries sometimes where those fences will give you a really good laceration. And you need stitches, yeah.
And then rule number 4, do not walk out of the yard alone. So being always with someone when you're outside of your home environment.
No, that's a great tip, especially for the little ones, right? To make sure that they stay close, because it only takes a couple minutes for them to get disoriented and to get lost.
Rule number 5, playing or experimenting with fire is not allowed.
Yes, and there is a city ordinance inside the city of Edinburgh that their fireworks are not allowed, right? So don't play with fire, don't play with fireworks, especially with how hot it is. It can, everything can easily burn.
Number 6, never go anywhere with a stranger.
Stranger danger. Remind your kids about stranger danger. Remind them not to talk to strangers, and also stay on top of them about stranger danger online as well. Don't forget about, people reaching out to them through video games, through social media accounts, through emails, whatever it may be. Remind your kids they're not going to talk to strangers in public, so why would they talk to them online, right?
All right. Rule number 7, no one is allowed to touch your kid's body.
Yes, we talk about no-no squares, right? Especially when they're little. It's not okay to touch in your no-no squares, is what I tell my kids, actually, right? And we talk about it every now and then, and I ask them to be sure that they're aware. And so also remind your kids that it's not okay for them to touch other kids either. And let's talk about assault and hitting and punching. Let's reinforce our kids to keep our hands to ourselves all the time.
Rule number 8, if you get lost, stay where you are.
Yes, look for safe people and safe places, right? Stay in that general area. But if you are lost without a phone, or if you don't know where you're at, look for a landmark so you can tell the dispatcher on 911 exactly where you're at. Ask for a phone to call 911 from a safe person, or be in a safe place as well.
Rule number 9, do not share your address and phone details with anyone that you don't know.
Yes, of course. Remind your kids that their names, their date of birth, their address, their phone numbers, it's all sensitive information to just any random person that's asking for it. And so also be cautious of them purchasing things online, maybe borrowing your credit card and, sending your credit card information to someone online. Talk to them about fraud, scammers, predators, online safety in general.
And the last tip, and this is a great one, if I am uncomfortable, I will not do it. Teach them that if it doesn't feel right, you shouldn't do it.
And that's exactly what we do, is we teach them about their intuition. That listen to your sixth sense. If something doesn't feel right, if your body is telling you that something's wrong, listen to your body and go get help. Exactly.
All right. And what is your final piece of advice that you would want to tell parents to keep their kids safe this summer?
Yeah, no. So just always, kids need constant reminding. Kids need constant attention when it comes to being situationally aware of their surroundings. Real life emergency situations, how to call 911. Just talk to your kids about it all the time. It doesn't hurt.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah, no, thank you.
Benedict. We really appreciate your time.
No, then thank you. It was great being here.
All right. And that officially concludes our webinar. We thank you for joining us. We hope that you will continue to prioritize the health of your children, and we look forward to seeing you for our next installment of this Let's Talk Children's Health series on Wednesday, June 18th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. when we will discuss the dangers of dehydration as we prepare for the hottest months of the year. Like and follow the STHS Children's Facebook page for more details on our future Let's Talk Children's Health webinars. And to view our previous Let's Talk seminars, all you have to do is visit sthsletstalk.com. Until our next seminar, stay healthy, stay safe, and please continue to prioritize your health and the health of your little ones.
At South Texas Health System Children's, your child's health is our priority. When they're ill or injured, we're ready to help. Our team includes on-staff pediatric specialists in infectious disease, cardiology, orthopedics, neurology, ear, nose, and throat, and more. Our round-the-clock care features the Valley's first dedicated children's ER. For more than 15 years, we've offered healing and hope for kids. And we're here for your family now. South Texas Health System Children's.
Where kids come first.